Welcome back, everyone, to the MLG Winter Championships. Waiting for, oh, there we go, actually. And it is time to start the third and final map here. MLG Dual Site is the choice from Ganzi. His Hart took him out on the last match.
Yeah, that last game, oh man, Hart had such a small window of opportunity where he was going to be able to push. Ganzi was working on stim of his own. He also obviously had the defender's advantage, had a bunker there. He really wasn't able to pull off SCVs quick enough, and ultimately he had too much momentum by the time those SCVs entered the fight, and from there it was practically over. So over here on the right side of the map, we just saw him unfortunately not able to close out the series. He's a free agent, he's playing as the Red Terran. This is Ganzi. His opponent over here just had a brilliant play last game, repping complexity. This is Hart. And this is, so Hart's going to be playing as the Blue Terran. This is on Dual Site. Now, as you can see, the architecture of the map always means that the players are going to be expanding into each other, but we've actually just seen so much aggression from either of these players before expansions really even come into play.
Yeah, that is definitely true. On Shakuras, we saw them, you know, they were just basically posturing for a position there in the center of the map, but in that first game, Ganzi saw that he just had the big tank advantage and decided to go straight for the 3 siege tanks of Hart there with his unsiege tanks. I believe he had 5 or 6, and he just completely crushed that army. In game 2, you know, Hart scanned, I believe, and saw that his opponent didn't really have all that much. He had the Marine advantage and basically just went for it there with the upgraded Marines, not really knowing what his opponent's upgrades were. And I almost think kind of caught a break there, ended up taking him out.
Yeah, he most certainly did for a bit. I mean, we'll see what happens here. This is going to be the deciding game, and then we will truly know whom is better than the other. We've got Ganzi over here adding on. His refinery is just about finished up, so it's slightly later than his opponent Hart's. I want to know, maybe we'll see just how confident he was with that Banshee-less, or excuse me, the cloakless Banshee play. Yeah, out of Hart, because we've actually seen that pretty consistently when they get the refinery quickly.
Right. So
single refinery.
We will see here exactly what's going on. Both players opening up pretty normal. I actually did not see the gas timing all that quickly, and I think he did pull away from the refinery for 1 second with an SCV. And now we see, what is this guy up to? Okay, there he goes, throwing the depot. Somewhat undecided here, as now we are going to see the factory being popped down right over here. And over here in the main base of Hart, he is also throwing down the factory as well.
Yeah, and as that gets closer to wrapping up, we see that he has not added on his second refinery just yet, but he is almost once again at about the 100 gas mark. So whether or not he builds that starport is the question. It's almost sure to follow. Now we've got a Marine and SCV from Ganzi, was just getting a little recon around the map.
And you know, right now they still have not added on a second gas, so Hart's actually going to be throwing down his starport. And once this Hellion finishes, he will add on that tech lab. Ganzi still waiting for this factory to finish, and he's going to throw down his starport as well. So from the looks of it, I believe that gas first was what Hart went for, and Ganzi obviously opting to get it after the racks here, according to how everything's really being built and the timings of each of these
yeah, and actually bases. Here's a pretty big difference. We actually see a reactor coming down for Ganzi instead. And he actually had a ton of minerals saved up. Wow, Ganzi is also building a command center, so he's going to be going for an expansion. This is interesting.
Yeah, he is going to be doing some aggressive expansion here, doing a lot of damage. And ooh, actually,
medevac.
We're seeing a drop ship coming out of Hart. He might do an elevator up into the main base. He's building both Marines and Hellions. No upgrades for either, just pumping them out constantly. No reactor or anything like that. As well, he could just try to catch his opponent off guard. He does have a slight supply lead, and that's because he's been constantly producing out of the racks and the factory. He's going to move out with the Hellions, which leads me to believe that, yeah, so he's going to sit in those cross-map, take out any Zelnaga towers to make sure there's nothing that can see that medevac coming, and then move in with this dropship for a huge drop and try to overwhelm his opponent.
And Hart is actually just so smart. He's also following it up with Viking production as well so that he can fight the other Viking that's going to be threatening him. Oh man, as Ganzi moves across, he just barely does not see the incoming threat, and now all he's going to see is that single Hellion moving across the map. But will it trigger him to change something about his play? He's already finished up his command center, and now behind this, we actually see Hart expanding.
And here is Ganzi seeing exactly what's going on. You can just load straight up into the medevac and then drop down immediately.
Oh, wow.
All of the SCVs have been pulled here for Ganzi. This is a do or die situation right now. If he loses more than any, well, actually any more really at this point, he's going to be so far behind his opponent.
He's already just lost so many SCVs, and Ganzi is unfortunately just, I mean, his economy is being fried literally right before his eyes. What a brilliant play out of Hart as he continues to micro around the back. Can he make those flames connect once again? There's only the 3 Hellions and the medevac remaining, and actually there aren't that many forces left for Ganzi to even fight those last 3 off. Of course, getting over there, killing yet another SCV, adding it to his slain history. Oh man, and the last Hellion may be able to escape out of there. That was a great assault from Hart.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, look at the SCVs that he ended up killing. He's got a 10 SCV lead at this moment. We see his expansion going up. We do, in fact, also see 2 more racks here. One of them getting a tech lab before, most definitely the combat shield upgrade. A tank coming down, probably siege mode shortly after he gets another tank starting to produce that. Now, the thing here is that this command center is out for Sela, so he will be able to replenish his SCVs, but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer to get his expansion running.
Yeah, so last game, this is kind of close to what we saw, where Hart got over, crippled Ganzi, and then just ended up getting siege tanks to defend his own base. Although this time we've seen that he hasn't started siege tank research yet. He's got stim underway. Oh, very nice pickoff on that Viking, landing the Viking, pulling it out of harm's way, and then following up with the Marines to finish it off. We've got a small force from Hart, just trying to maintain a little bit of map control. And we see that Ganzi is actually caught all the way up on the supply count.
And Sela is just sending this Viking in, but it will meet a full HP Viking here, and that is going to fall with 2 volleys there. Here's the expansion for Hart, already up and running now. We see actually Ganzi is thinking of moving out. He does not have siege mode, actually just now starting that, as I mentioned it, and he's probably just going to position himself. I don't expect he's going to commit to this attack fully, as he really just needs more stuff in his army.
Well, right now Ganzi actually has that command center finished up, and he hasn't lifted it off, hasn't bothered landing it, isn't using it to make, actually I guess he's putting SCVs into the main because it was so undersaturated after all those were fried. But now Ganzi really needs to take back map control, and he needs to put at least a little bit of pressure onto Hart so that hopefully it'll give him room to make some mistakes and take advantage of them.
Now, we see right here as, you know, Ganzi's about to have siege mode. His opponent, does he have it? No, he does not, actually, not even starting it. A little bit fearful here. Hart having, actually hold that thought. We're going to see these 2 engage.
Wow, and in comes Ganzi. Now, siege mode is not quite done. He does have 1 medevac there, but it's looking like Hart might have just a few too many units, perhaps. No, the 2 tanks over there from Ganzi just really laying on the hurt, absolutely focus firing down that first tank. So he's done a great job following through with this. Can Ganzi push up? His siege mode has finished, so he's going to be in nice position using his Viking to get that much needed extra vision and pulling off the reinforcements.
Yeah, the position that Ganzi is in right now is so good. He can anything coming down that ramp, he does have vision with this Viking. He can also do small poke-ins to the natural of Hart. So with this, he can just simply catch up. Oh man, such beautiful positioning with those siege modes as he loses a couple of Marines there next to the orbital command, but I'm not sure how Hart's going to be able to break this, and it looks like he might just wait for a huge amount of units and then go for a big rush in.
The biggest thing is that right now Hart is able to make, I think, up to 7 Marines at once, and Ganzi just can't continue that production. He's not able to move around the map, and now we have all the SCVs coming out, getting us around onto a couple of those tanks, and it's looking like Hart is going to be able to get rid of this contain.
Yeah, and he was able to do so. Let's do a quick SCV count. 31 to the 39 of Hart, so he is still in the lead after that, breaking that attack beautifully there, sending in the SCVs to take the brunt of the damage with a bunch of units up on the high ground, as well as some down on the low ground. So we'll see here right now. Ganzi's in a very unique position because he still does not have anything with his command center, just now starting the orbital command. It's going to be some time before he really gets his expansion up and running. Meanwhile, Hart already has his going.
And then Hart's also just really continuing to pump out all of those Marines. And he's also now getting siege mode of his own, which is going to be so crucial in this next engagement, because as long as he has siege mode and more tanks, Ganzi really isn't going to be able to fight him unless he pulls off SCVs, at which point that probably already means that he's lost.
Right. So here we go, seeing the command center finally being lifted off. And Ganzi actually has somewhat of a defense set up. I think we missed some Viking landing here into the main base. Let's see if they actually helped out that SCV count. Not really. 47 to 36 still. We see that Hart's trying to get map position back, as he does have the northern watchtower, and he's about to take this bottom one. So map control is in his favor. He's going to leave a Marine there, obviously, to make sure he can see exactly what is incoming. And wow, a lone Marine sneaks out from underneath the charred surface here.
Hiding below the burnt bush, waiting to pounce on the enemy. And now Hart's feeling pretty comfortable. He's got almost a 40, actually an exactly 40 supply lead here. Pushing in, he's scanning, getting some intel on where Ganzi's units all are. He's moving in, and this is right after his siege mode finishes up. So he's sieging. He does just get the first volley, and Ganzi, thinking for a split second that he would use the SCVs to attack there, but taking a couple hits and pulling to the side. Ganzi's in a rough spot. Now, Ganzi fortunately does currently have air control. He's got that Viking out there, so really he can inch up with his siege tanks, but we see Hart using the scan and continuing to reinforce.
Yeah, and that Viking is also very, very low, so even though there's only a few Marines here, he's actually using them to push the sight of his tanks a little bit further due to the poor positioning of the tanks from Ganzi. If this has moved up just a tiny bit there, looks like it wasn't on hold position though, and Ganzi unsieging.
He just needs to move a little bit. Now he's still out of vision, but we see that Hart has enough energy in his orbital command to scan, and so one tank goes down. Will he be able to? Yes, he kills one, and one tank remains. Oh, nice. So we see Ganzi eliminating some of that tank count there. So pretty nice play. Oh, a slight misfire, but we don't see Hart reassign, and Hart loses another tank. But in come two Vikings to take that air control right out of Ganzi's hands. That's pretty much the only advantage that Ganzi had right there.
Yeah, this is the big shift in power right here in the skies, but at the same time, it's really going to come down to these three Vikings. Does he not have a reactor on his? No, he does not. Okay, that's why it's doing one by one. You can, of course, use these medevacs, but they will fall victim to the Vikings, obviously. Hart has a lot of stuff here. 142 supply, excuse me, to the 92 as more and more units continue to stream across the map, and we see Combat Shield actually just now finishing as well as 1-1.
So Hart just has such a mighty army out here, increasing that lead from 40 to 50 over the course of this push, taking back the air control. Oh, but his Vikings are pushed up just a little bit. The Marines were able to deal a small amount of damage there, and really, we see Hart just trying to bait in Ganzi's army into his tank line.
So this is TVT at its core right here, Rob. I mean, this is completely about position. And we even see here that Ganzi's like, well, I've got a nice siege line. You do have the air control, but you're not pushing up very well. So he was trying to go for an attack, but the Marines of Hart are going to catch them off guard. They're giving a run for his money, but everyone's going in here, and here we go, Rob.
Oh, wow, and so in comes Ganzi. He is going to be able to hold off that top part, but at what cost? He loads up 4 of his medevacs, and Hart making a brilliant elevator up into Ganzi's main. Now, Ganzi is going to have to scramble to get back up there and hold off this assault. That is 32 Marines with stim and medevacs behind them, just demolishing the remaining forces of Ganzi, and he's following up with the rest of his Marines around the ramp.
Hart takes out Ganzi here. This guy, he's got a lot of courage. I'm not going to make that joke, guys, but wow, he just destroyed Ganzi there in that series on the last map. Looks so strong.
not only does he have courage, but he clearly has brains. We saw him just repeatedly, time and time again, making the correct decisions, knowing that instead of, okay, I'm not going to deal with your natural anymore, I can actually just unload as many Marines as you have into your main, split you in half, and pull you to pieces.
Absolutely. So guys, that wraps up that series. Coming up next, we don't know yet. So we'll be right back. I'm sure right here as we jump to the commercial, we'll have it updated for you guys. So we'll be right back here, JP and Rob, with more action from MLG Championship Sunday.